statistical, mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin.
Good morning, Bitcoiners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. Welcome to another live space with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez, and I'm very happy to be with you here once again. The last talk we had was quite interesting, and I think that today's talk is going to be just as interesting. I want to talk to you about something that I think that every single Bitcoiner deals with. Every single Bitcoiner deals with their desire to spread the gospel of Bitcoin. It is very difficult to become a Bitcoiner and not want to spread the gospel of Bitcoin. It's very difficult not to want to share what Bitcoin has done for you, how it's changed your life, how it's altered your perspective, how it's given you a new lease on things. It's very difficult not to want to share that. And I believe that a lot of people who are not quite Bitcoiners yet, they get thrown off by this. They don't understand what the motive behind our efforts to share this, what the motive is. A lot of people have a problem not being able to put their finger on the why of our desire to share this. Some people erroneously assume that we're trying to pump our bags. We're trying to get other people to buy into the Bitcoin narrative, the Bitcoin story, to raise the price or something, as if that could actually be done. There are some people egotistical enough to believe that their little drop in the bucket can have some material effect on the price of Bitcoin. It's quite comical to me, but many people have an issue with this. And so I wanted to share with you how I've managed to orange pill over 9,000 people this year. And I want to share some of the ways in which I approach my orange pilling process, if you will. Now, it's very difficult for me to put my finger on the exact number, but I do have, I am placed in, with my work, I am afforded the opportunity to travel the world and to speak about the topic of financial freedom. I've been doing this for over 3 decades of my life. And so that work has lent itself perfectly to this new era of my life as a Bitcoiner. And so because that foundation has been in place for me for so long, that it was quite easy to sort of insert the narrative of Bitcoin in my day-to-day work. And it is through this work, it is through my travels, it's through my speaking engagements that I am able to address tens of thousands of people every single year. And out of this journey last year, as far as we can actually notate, there have been over 9,000 people who've actually gotten into Bitcoin, purchased Bitcoin, and become hodlers of Bitcoin as a result of my talks around the world. And I have every intention of continuing that journey in 2024 as well. So I want to share with you some of the ways or some of the things that I actually talk about. And these things might actually help you share this narrative with your family members, with your loved ones, and things of that nature. So I'm going to go over 10 things, 9, 10 things, something like that. And it might take me some of these things might take me a bit of time, but I think they're important. So, um, one of the first things that I talk about is the fact that we are all slaves in a modern day slavery system. And so I like to start off with this concept because it it makes people understand what Bitcoin frees us from. But most individuals aren't aware of the fact that we are operating in a modern day financial slavery system. And if they're not able to understand that up front, they will never be able to understand the importance of Bitcoin. It's never going to register until they first understand their current plight and because Bitcoin's main purpose is to free us from the current plight that we're born in. And so I have found that it's always necessary, or in many cases, it's necessary for me to make the person understand what I actually mean by we're all slaves. You see, most people, when they think of slavery, they think of the old form of slavery that was designed to control 100% of a person's time. And because time is the stuff that life is made up of, when you control 100% of a person's time, you control 100% of their life. But what you also control in the traditional form of slavery, what you also controlled was 100% of their output. So not only did you have in the traditional form of slavery 100% of a slave's time, you got 100% of the fruits of the labor of that time as well. And when I speak of slavery, when most people speak of slavery or think of slavery, they think of the 100% version of slavery. This 100% version of slavery used to be applied to certain segments of the population. It was slavery by color, it was slavery by class, and things of that nature. But a more modern form of slavery began to form that went beyond just affecting smaller groups of people. This form of slavery spread across the entire world. And so I find it helpful to make a person understand that they are participating in the modern form of this slavery, that we are born not by choice, but we are born by chance in a country. This country is akin to a plantation. This country or plantation is run by a group of elites. This group of elites has created a coupon with their numbers on the coupon. We are forced to work for this coupon. This coupon is in the control of only a small group of people who run the plantation, who run the country. It is not by choice, but we are by force compelled to give up a portion of our lives, a portion of our time to earn this piece of paper. This piece of paper that was not chosen by you, this piece of paper that you were born into, that you are now forced to go out, give your time, give your life for in exchange for this piece of paper or this coupon. Now, of course, each plantation has their own coupon. The United States plantation has the US dollar, um, Venezuela has their coupon, Europe has their coupon, Japan has their coupon, Argentina has its coupon. But these are pieces of paper, they're coupons that are basically these coupons we are forced to work for. And so while we don't give today 100% of our time, we give anywhere between 50, 60 to 70% of our time for this piece of paper. Now, this piece of paper, called the US dollar in this instance, is controlled by a very few people. Its supply is manipulated by a very few people. And these people can make the value of that piece of paper go up and down at will. Now, we are forced to give our time for this piece of paper, and then we're to take this piece of paper and buy the elite's overinflated goods. And here's the trick that constantly steals from the general populace. The value of the piece of paper, the value of the coupon that we are forced to work for, that we're forced to give our lives for, that we're forced to go educate ourselves, get a skill, to then give that time, give that skill, give that education to the system that we're born into for this piece of paper. But what's the trick is that the value of the piece of paper goes down every single year, so that we are forced to work harder the next year to get the same value that we got last year. And so because the piece of paper is by design manipulated to lose value every single year of its life, every single year, it loses value. The time that you need to produce the same value, you need more time this year than you did last year. I'll give you an extreme example of this. There was a professor in Venezuela that I knew, and he told me that there was a time when he had to work 3 days to actually earn enough to buy a steak dinner. 3 days. So he had to give 3 days of his time. And the time he invested in his work for 3 days, that 3 days earned him a steak dinner. Today, this professor has to work 3.5 months for the same steak dinner. This professor's time was stolen. That is actual theft, and it is forced on every single person in the world. There is not a single person that is, well, the majority, but there aren't many people who can escape this slave-based system, where the piece of paper that we have to work for was not chosen by us. We were born into it. We have no control over the piece of paper. And those who control the piece of paper ensure that it goes down in value every single year, so that we have to work harder and harder, or run faster and faster on the hamster wheel to get the same level of life we got last year. And this system goes on until the day we die. Most people aren't used to looking at their lives through this lens. Most people aren't used to realizing, they're not used to looking at the fact that you're absolutely right. I haven't chosen a single thing. I haven't chosen what piece of paper is my piece of paper. And it's been forced on me. And I've been tricked into believing that I'm supposed to go get educated, get skilled to earn this piece of paper. But the value of this piece of paper is not in my control. And that somehow the value of this piece of paper gets less and less every single year of my life until I die. And when people start to understand and see that you're trapped in this system and there is no escape, they can be softened up, they can be peppered up, they can be prepared a bit to understand what problem does Bitcoin resolve. And when you tell them that Bitcoin is the only escape from this, that yes, we're forced to go work for another man's coupon, but if we can take a few of those coupons and switch it or put it into this, we're partially escaping. Every single time we make that transfer, we are escaping this slave-based system. That every single dollar I pull out of the slave system and put it into Bitcoin, it is a little extra form of freedom for myself. That the value that I earn in the slave system, if I can take a portion of that and stick it into this network, the safest network that's ever existed for humans, the most secure network that has ever existed, a network that is this that has no leak, a network that can't lose value, a network that every 4 years is mathematically designed to increase your value. And so I've been somewhat successful in getting people to see the trap and then letting them know that Bitcoin is designed to be the opposite of the trap. And so if the US dollar is designed to go down in value every year, and they tell you this in your face, right? We want a 2% inflation rate. They're telling you in your face that the money is designed to go down in value 2% every year. That's what a 2% inflation rate mandate is. It is saying we're going to steal 2% from you every single year and you're going to like it. You're actually you're going to sit and wait for us to tell you, oh, now it's 4%. Oh, now it's 3% that we're stealing from you. But our goal is to only steal 2% from you every single year. They tell us in our faces that we're going to be stolen from every single year, that you will have to give 2% extra more. You have to give 2% more of your life next year to get the same thing that you got last year. And every single year, you will have to give an extra 2% to get the same thing. Well, Bitcoin has come into existence to be the exact opposite of that. It is designed every single 4 years to go up in value, not down in value. Bitcoin is the mirror opposite of fiat currency. And because fiat currency can't stop going down, Bitcoin can't stop going up because its very design is to be the opposite of the slave system. Bitcoin is global. It is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be debased. It has no inflation rate. It has no theft built into the system. A single dollar remains a single dollar and grows from there. It is mathematically designed to secure your life. Bitcoin is freedom from this system. Bitcoin is the only out that we have. And once you get this, you start to realize that the more I can transfer into freedom, the better off I am 4 years from now, and 4 years from that, and 4 years from that. Now, I can actually go as far as saying that Bitcoin is designed to go up in value every single year because on average, it has a 213% annualized growth rate. 213% annualized growth rate. That's crazy. That's insane. But it's safer for me to tell you that it is mathematically designed to increase your life, to increase your value, to increase your worth every 4 years. It's mathematically guaranteed. And so, however you do it, I think that one of the best ways to connect with someone is to show them how Bitcoin is the opposite of the US dollar or whatever coupon they work for. That because there will always be more of this coupon printed, Bitcoin every 4 years gets less. So it's literally the opposite. Every 4 years, it's less, while every single moment for your coupon, it's more. A lot of people also are not, they're just not financial in nature. They don't understand the concept of how prices don't go up. You see, most people have been indoctrinated to believe that prices of things go up. That's the natural way things are. But prices do not go up in a real world, only in clown world. Only in slave world do prices go up. It costs less to make a loaf of bread today than it used to cost in 1913. The processes are better, the efficiency is better, the price of the products are less. It costs less to make a loaf of bread today than it used to cost in 1913. But why does the cost of a loaf of bread today, I don't know what it is, guys. I don't do shopping. I have people shop for me. What is it, $4, $5? I don't know. Why is a loaf of bread $4, $5 today when a loaf of bread used to be 20 cents? It makes no sense. Prices are not supposed to go up. They're supposed to actually go down. Just like your television sets and your computers and your technology. All prices are supposed to go down. So in theory, in reality, what's really happening is that the money is going down that is in creating the impression that prices of things are rising. My mother bought a home in 1970, it was 1973. She bought this home for $35,000. She sold the home for $850,000 a few decades later. $35,000, $850,000. Over the course of these decades that my mother had this home, there was nothing materially done to the home to make it better. There was no extra wing added or anything like that. The structure remained the same. The neighborhood over time deteriorated. The school systems deteriorated. The house was more used and older, yet the price dramatically increased. Did the value of the home really, really go up? Is the home more valuable after my mother used it for decades? No. Prices in a real fair world do not go up. Prices only go up because the unit that you're using to measure everything is going down. It's not that the value of my mother's house went up. It's just that the value of the dollar we use to look at it has gone down so much. It just takes more of the piece of paper to buy the same thing. And that's theft. That is financial slavery. When you have to give more time to get the same thing, that is financial slavery. That is the theft of the stuff that your life is made up of. Time is what your life is made up of. And if you have to work an extra 3 months for a steak dinner, when before you only had to work 3 days, your time has been stolen from you. If it takes you a year to save up $35,000, like it did my mom, if it takes you a year to save up $35,000, and now it takes you a decade to save up an amount necessary to get the same house, your time has been stolen. The house hasn't changed. The steak dinner hasn't changed. Your money has changed. Your money, your coupon that you were forced to work for has gone down. And so now we have the only out of that corrupt system available to us, and it's available to every single human being in the world. Bitcoin is freedom for this very reason. Because for the first time, we can store our time, which is your money, right? Money equals time, right? In a way. You give 40 hours of your work, you give 40 hours a week to your job. In exchange for that time and all of the effort that's infused in that time, you get a monetary unit back. That monetary unit that you received is really your stored time. In exchange for your time, you receive money. Now, this money that you're holding is your life. You gave your life for this. If you put it into something that loses value, you're losing your life. You're losing the time that you gave. And so Bitcoin offers us the ability to put this stored time into something that not only will keep it safe, that not only will not deteriorate in value, but will mathematically go up in value and multiply itself every 4 years of your entire life. Bitcoin is our escape. Bitcoin is our freedom. The other thing that I like to do with people is show them this in graphical form. So many of you have often seen me do this, and what I'd like to do here, if I can, is I would actually like to, let me see if I can do it here. I can post what I love to post. So I like to show them what I just explained to them in this form. I show them a graph of the US dollar dated all the way back to, I just posted that in our talk here. So if you pull up that image that I just posted, you'll see the buying power of a single dollar from the year 1913. And this is outdated. This chart only goes to 2020. It got a lot worse from 2020, as most of you know. But these coupons, these fiat currencies are designed to lose value forever. They trend towards zero forever. And this is what we're told to store our life in. This is what we're told we give our life for. This is what we're indoctrinated to slave for. We are told to go get educated. We are told to get trained. We're told to go into debt to get college degrees to work for this picture. And this picture is guaranteed when we store our time here, when we store our life in this, you are guaranteeing for your family that they will be worth less every 4 years. Every 4 years, you're going to be worth less. It's a mathematical guarantee. They tell you that every year you're going to be less. You're going to be less by at least 2%. And so when I show people this picture, they start to understand that, wait a minute, yeah, I am working for this. This is what I spend almost, I spend the majority of my living life trying to get this. Think about this, people. You're spending most of your waking hours with one goal in mind. You're trying to get this picture. Does that look like a good picture to get? Does that not look like something that has a future? Does that look like something you should store your excess in? No, it doesn't. But what does is what I will post here. Boom. And when I show people that we are indoctrinated to work and store in this falling item, and then I show them, but I hope that just got posted, guys. Did it get posted? I'm hoping that just got posted. I don't see it though. Yes. Okay. When I show them the image or chart of Bitcoin, I say, this is what is now available to us to store our future in. One does not have a future, and that's what we're taught to store in. This guarantees that our future is brighter every 4 years without fail. Bitcoin is designed to go up in value every 4 years of its existence, and it will do this for the rest of your life, for the rest of the lives of your children, their children, and children not even born yet. Bitcoin has no top because The other picture has no bottom. I'm going to repeat that. Bitcoin has no top because the US dollar and every other coupon out there has no bottom. Bitcoin's designed to do the opposite of what this other image is doing. It's designed to be the opposite. It's very powerful. Very powerful. So I ask you, what do you want to store your time in? If I gave you a sure bet, if I gave you a sure bet that this is a sure thing, we went to Vegas and you knew this is a sure bet. If I bet this way, I'm going to win. You would do everything you possibly could to bring as much as you possibly could to that bet. If I told you you only get one roll and it's a guaranteed winner, you would borrow, you would ask friends, family, you would try to get as much as you possibly can because you have to put something on this guaranteed bet, but it's a guaranteed win. You would spend as much time as possible, garnering as much as you possibly can up, saving as much as you possibly can to make this bet. This is what we have with Bitcoin. We have a guaranteed win every 4 years. And because of this, what we should be doing is garnering as much as we possibly can to place it and store it here. Now, you can get thrown within the 4 years. You've got to look at this thing from 4-year vantage points. We have the ability to ensure that our family is wealthier, richer, better off, more valuable every 4 years of your family's existence. This is crazy. It's powerful. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing because for so long we've been forced to work for the opposite. And Bitcoin's our freedom now. Let me see if there are any questions here. Oliver's out here doing the Lord's work, taking notes as you speak. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Ray. I appreciate that. Yes, this will be recorded. This is recorded. All of these are recorded, guys. That's right, Arcad. Bitcoin is engineered to do the opposite of fiat. And this is something that all of you, if you haven't realized this yet, you should walk away with this. Because the US dollar and all other fiat currencies are actually designed, they are engineered, I like that word, they are engineered to go down in value. They tell you this. They strive for a 2% inflation rate, which means your value drops by 2% every year. And more. We know it's more. They say it's 2%, but we know it's more. So because it's designed, it's engineered to do this, Bitcoin has been engineered to do the opposite. It can't do anything else except do the opposite. Get this in your head. It can't do it. It can only do the opposite of what the dollar is doing, going down in value. It's engineered to be the mirror opposite. And so this is its guarantee. If the dollar's value will decline every single year of its life, Bitcoin will go up forever. It's engineered to be the opposite. And so we're still forced to earn this declining piece of paper, but we should be switching it as quickly as we possibly can into what is not declining every 4 years, which is Bitcoin. Now, I tell people, I'm not one of these Bitcoiners that actually suggest that you put every single dollar you make into Bitcoin. I don't do that. And there are some hardcore Bitcoiners that claim that I'm not bullish enough, or I'm not orange pilled enough, or I'm not a true Bitcoiner because I'm not on a full Bitcoin standard. I just think it's silly for me. I can't say if it's silly for you. It's silly for me to live like that. Like, what I suggest people do is use the junky money for your immediate needs. You need eggs, you need bread. I'm not using my precious Bitcoin for that. All right. That just doesn't make sense to me. You sell or get rid of the junk and you keep what's precious. I'm not taking the Mona Lisa and filling up my gas tank with it. That's ridiculous. I just don't see that mindset. So I don't encourage that. And I know that angers some Bitcoiners, that I don't encourage that you get 100% on a Bitcoin standard. I just think it's silly. We're forced to make this junky piece of paper. Let's use the junky piece of paper and get rid of it as fast as we can on the things that we need right now. But if you have one single dollar of excess, one single dollar that you don't need at the current moment, pull it out of the declining item and stick it into the rising item. Don't store in the declining item. Spend the declining item, but don't store in the declining item. All right? That's what I suggest. Some people are more touched with the number go up part of Bitcoin. So I found that some people get more connected when I talk about the potential monetary gain that can happen from Bitcoin. And that's okay. It's okay to be attracted to the number go up part of this. There's nothing wrong. No one should feel embarrassed about that. Some people feel shy about that being their main purpose. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that most people are going to be attracted to the number go up part of Bitcoin because that's really that's Bitcoin's only way of marketing itself. It markets itself to the world by its rising value. It doesn't have a director of marketing. It doesn't have a leadership. It has its price. Its paper dollar price. And Bitcoin uses its price as its marketing division. So it's nothing wrong with someone being attracted to that. That's the purpose of it. So when I'm trying to connect with a person to let them know that Bitcoin will go up in value, a lot of people want to hear numbers. And I do try to shy away from numbers these days, but I do dance around it. And this is how I dance around it. I tell them that the world continues to become more digitized, and we've experienced almost everything in our lives get sucked into the digital world. We've seen our mail go 100% digital. Nobody today licks the back of envelopes and finds the correct number of stamps to put on the envelope and mail a letter or note to your relative around the world. Nobody does that today. Mail has gone from the analog physical world to being almost 100% digital, where you can't touch it or feel it or anything like that. But it does exist in the digital world. Mail has gone from analog to the digital world. Our photos have gone from physical albums that my mother used to bore the neighbors every single time they came over for coffee. She'd pull out the same 4 photo albums, forgetting that last year she showed the same baby pictures of me to my neighbors last year. She'd pull out those same 4 albums. Did I show you when Oliver used to play baseball? Did I show you when Oliver got his first pair of skates? And she'd pull out the same 4 albums every single year, forgetting that she showed the same pictures to the same people the last year. There's no photo albums under coffee tables today. I've got 50,000 photos in the phone that I'm speaking on to you right now. I've got over 50,000 photos. They give me just as much joy as the albums under my mom's coffee table. Our photos have been sucked into the digital world. They are no longer physical. They no longer can be touched. You can't touch a photo today. You can't feel it. 99% of all photos now live and exist in another world, a digital world. Our movies. When's the last time you held a movie in your hand? I remember the Blockbuster days, but they don't exist anymore. You can't remember the last time you held an actual movie in your hand. When's the last time you've held a record album in your hand? When's the last time you've seen one? When's the last time you've touched a record? Our music is now completely digital. It can't be touched. It can't be felt. It can't be seen. It can only be experienced. It's been sucked into a brand new world. This brand new world is the digital world. We have moved from an analog world to a digital world. And here's the thing. I'm getting to the price part of Bitcoin. I promise you. Here's the thing. In no instance has the digital version of an analog thing been smaller and worth less. Now, listen to me carefully. This is very important. In every instance, when an analog thing gets sucked into the digital world, when a digital version replaces the analog thing, it is never smaller than the analog version. It becomes exponentially bigger than its analog predecessor. So how many letters, physical letters, used to be mailed every single day? Millions. How many email are sent every single day? Billions. Exponentially more volume, more size, more everything, exponentially bigger in the digital world. All right. How many record albums can you make and send to people? How much more music exists today because it's digital than used to exist on vinyl, on cassette tapes? Music has become exponentially more in terms of volume and size. The digital is always exponentially more in volume and more in size and exponentially more in value. What's the value of Netflix versus the value of Blockbuster? Blockbuster dealt in the analog world of movies, and Netflix represents the digital world of movies. All right. Netflix is exponentially more valuable, exponentially bigger. Blockbuster doesn't even exist anymore. How many photos do you have in a physical item? And compare that to how many photos you have in your digital phone, in your iPhone. Exponentially more in the digital world, exponentially bigger, exponentially more in terms of volume, exponentially more valuable. The digital version is always more, but not just by a little bit, it's exponentially more. Now, gold is the analog version. But Bitcoin is the digital version of gold. We have the analog version of a mail, a letter, and a digital version, an email. We have an analog version of a record on vinyl. We have the digital version streaming. We have the analog version of a physical movie, a cassette tape, a VHS, or a DVD. And then we have the streaming version. We have gold, analog, physical, and Bitcoin, the digital version. Well, if the digital version is always exponentially more in terms of volume, more in terms of size, and more in terms of value, then where is Bitcoin going? You see, gold is $13 trillion in value. Bitcoin sits just under $1 trillion in value. Bitcoin is the digital version that is going to exponentially go beyond the analog version. Never in the history of our lives has a digital version remained less than the analog version. Never. It's impossible. So when I say we're early to Bitcoin, this is how early we are. If the digital version must go way beyond the value of the analog version that it's replacing, and Bitcoin is under 1 trillion and gold is 13 trillion. Well, we're $12 trillion away from it just reaching parity. But digital versions don't reach parity. They go way past parity, exponentially past. So if gold's worth 13 trillion and the digital version must go exponentially beyond 13 trillion, what's exponentially beyond 13 trillion? 100 trillion? 200 trillion? Do you see where I'm getting at, guys? Do you see how just knowing that the digital always takes out the analog? Just by knowing that, you can project that Bitcoin is going way past 13 trillion. It has to. It's the digital version. The digital version is always bigger, always more valuable, always more in terms of volume. Always. Look up the price of an analog phone I'm in a hotel in Manhattan right now. There's an analog phone here with a cord on it. They still have these things. If you were to look on Amazon for an analog phone with a cord on it, remember the ones that you maybe used to hang in your mother's kitchen or something on the wall? That's like $37. You can probably buy one of these things, $37. Well, what's the price of a digital phone? What's the price of your iPhone? What's the what's the what's the price of your Samsung or whatever? It's exponentially more than the analog version. And this gets a lot of people, guys. When 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 people realize that, yeah, you know what, you're right, that the digital version is always more. It's always bigger. And that Bitcoin's the digital version of gold, so its future must be way bigger than gold. It's replacing gold. That gets a lot of people when they see that. What I have found is that, guys, it's very difficult to do this in sound bites. You need time with a person. See, that I'm fortunate in that I have a captive audience when I speak to talk to. They can't go anywhere. But if you're trying to orange someone in the elevator, it just doesn't work that way. There's too many touch points that you have to connect you have to make too many touch points for this to work in a very short period of time. It just can't happen. And so none of these things work unless you really can spend some time, just like I'm doing with you now, going over that digital versus analog monologue there. Like, that takes time. I haven't found a way to elevator pitch someone on Bitcoin. It just doesn't seem to work. Chris is saying, Oliver, great space. We want to unbank the bank since they are crooks and liars, and Bitcoin is yes. But at the same time, we believe the 184 times multiple from Bank of America. What do you think about this multiplier? Well, first of all, it's not. The Bank of America multiplier on Bitcoin is not 184. I think it's 118 or something like that. And so what that multiplier is communicating is that it takes, for every $1 that goes into Bitcoin, it increases the value of the Bitcoin network by $118. That's powerful. That's crazy. So Bank of America did this study and showed that at that time, now this multiplier does move around. It depends on where you are in Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. So sometimes it's higher. Like recently, the multiplier has been closer to like 195, meaning that for every $1 that goes into Bitcoin, it increases the value of the entire network by $195. Now, a lot of people don't understand, how is this possible? And it's really quite simple. So I'll explain the multiplier this way. I think this will drive it home the most clearly. if you had a neighborhood of, if you lived in a neighborhood of, let's say this neighborhood had 20 homes. This specific neighborhood is made up of 20 homes. And the average price of the home is a $500,000. The average price of all the 20 homes are $1 million. Well, to, the average price is a $500,000. If all of a sudden one of the homes sells for $2 million, all right, that will raise the value of all the other 19 homes. So just one purchase raises the value of all the homes in the neighborhood. And that's a multiplier effect, right? That's a multiplier effect. Now, if I were to make this simpler, let's say if I make the example simpler, let's say every house is the same. All the 20 homes are the same, and all of the 20 homes are valued at $500,000, right? So if one of those 20 homes suddenly sells for 600,000, that's an extra 100,000, right? All the other homes' value goes up to 600,000. So it only took $100,000 extra to raise to have 19 more $100,000 increases. And that's called a multiplier effect. You don't need $100,000 for each home to raise the value of each home. You need it for only one home. And this same concept works with Bitcoin. All right. $1 million in Bitcoin raises the value of the network way more than $1 million. It raises the value of every outstanding Bitcoin by now like 119 times, 195 times. That's crazy. So I think the question from Chris was, do I believe in the multiplier? Yes. I mean, that's not a foreign concept. That's a concept that's used in financial circles for a lot of different things. And most financial things do have a multiplier. Is it that Bitcoin's multiplier is off the charts? All right. All right, guys. What else? What else here? So that's how guys, using the analog versus the digital, the digital gold is going to be exponentially more valuable than analog. In no case has the digital version of an analog thing remained less than the analog thing. And so we can project that Bitcoin will supersede $13 trillion in value by a long shot, because it doesn't just reach parity, it exponentially takes out the analog value. And so I try to stay away from prices, but that is a good way to just establish direction and potential. This can only go up from here. It cannot go down. Another thing I like to explain is the little pinch of salt. I call it the little pinch of salt, or the little dash of yeast uh, concept. When I explain to people, this really This really hits people rather deeply. When I explain, I want you to understand that less than half of 1% of the world has Bitcoin. Less than half of 1%, not 1%, less than half of 1% have Bitcoin. And with just that little dash, that little pinch of salt, a little dash of yeast, it has risen the Bitcoin value to $43,000 a Bitcoin. That little dash has created the best performing asset the world has ever known. That little dash has created the 10th most valuable asset on the entire planet. That little dash, that little half of 1% of people have created the 16th most valuable currency on planet Earth. Now imagine where things will be at 1%. And then I see their eyes just roll at the top of their head. Where are we going to be at 1% if less than half of 1% got us here? Where are we at 1%? And is there better odds for this number going up or down? Are we going to go up from less than half of 1%? Of course, we're not going backwards. We're not going from less than half of 1% to a quarter of a percent. We're not going that way. We're going the other way. All these ETFs getting approved, that's going to bring more people in, right? So we've become the best performing asset in the history of the world with less than half of 1% having it. Now just imagine where we are at 1% of the world having it, 3% of the world having it, 5%, 20, 60, 90. It's stupefying. The potential is literally mind-boggling. And that usually gets a lot of people thinking more deeply about Bitcoin and its potential as well. Another thing I like to show is, many of you have seen this over and over again from me, but let me post it here, guys. I'm going to post this and show you what I like to show them. I like to show people the reliability of Bitcoin. I just posted this, guys. Wait, let me see it. Yes. Okay, I just posted it, guys. So I like to show them, take a look at that. I like to show them the reliability of Bitcoin. And I like to explain to them that Bitcoin is mathematically designed to do this picture over and over and over again. It's baked in, it's designed to do this. And what you see here is you see 3 green dots followed by a red dot. Then 3 green dots followed by a red dot. Those red dots are down years. But Bitcoin is mathematically designed to have 3 years of a bull market and 1 year to go back and save the people who missed it. So this one down year is really Bitcoin's benevolence. It's coming back for the people that missed it, giving them a chance to get on the freedom train. It's coming back to the station, opening its doors and sitting at the red station for a year. And then it continues its journey back to the upside, closes the doors and continues its journey. 3 green dots, and we repeat again. And what this does is it's showing the person that I'm speaking to, or the group that I'm speaking to, that the downwards are programmed. The volatility, most people, when they think of volatility, they think of down volatility, but Bitcoin has up volatility 3-1. So when you know what to expect, you know there's 1 year of down. This is design. You know there's 3 years of up. And so now, what's the best way to take advantage of this? You buy the red and enjoy the green. You buy the red and enjoy the green. You buy the red and you enjoy the green. You buy the red and you enjoy the green. That's the best approach. And if you do this for the rest of your life, your children's children's children will thank you. We've already established that Bitcoin is designed as it's the digital version of gold to go way past the value of gold. So it's going there. But what do we do what do we do during the process of it going there? We buy the red and enjoy the green. We buy the red and we enjoy the green. We buy the red and we enjoy the green. You do that forever. And if you do that, your children's children's children will remember your name. And this brings a certainty to the people that I'm addressing. It brings a certainty that they thought could never exist in the financial world. And some people don't say, Oliver, but how can this be true? How can it be this consistent? How do I know this is, how is this possible? It's possible because it's this reliable, because it's math. And that everything that we have known prior to this is not math, it's man. And what's the most unreliable thing on planet Earth is man. Man is the most unreliable thing. And everything else that we have ever had to trust was from man. And now we have something that is not from man. It is from math. You don't have a single human being in your life that has not let you down. None of you. There's not a single human being alive that you know that has never let you down. Every human being has let you down. Every single one that you know, in one form or another. Humans are unreliable. If you put anything in the hands of a human being, they're going to be unreliable with it. It's guaranteed. In time, they will be unreliable with it. There used to be there's a saying. I can't remember who actually said this. I want to say Benjamin Franklin, but somehow I think that's wrong. But anyway, there's this saying: In order for two people to keep a secret, one of them must die. That's how unreliable human beings are. And we have been forced to have to trust human beings with our value, with our money, with our savings. We've always had to trust humans. But for the first time, we have something that is not human. We don't have to rely on the unreliability of human beings. Bitcoin is math. Bitcoin is code. Bitcoin is law. It is mapped out for the next 100+ years. And no human being can control it. No human being can influence it. No human being can stop it. No human being can debase it. No human being can devalue it. No human being can confiscate it. No human being can steal it. It is outside of the control of every human being, yet is available to every human being. Powerful. And so when I explain to them, isn't 1 + 1 = 2 reliable? Isn't that reliable? Can't you can count on that, right? You can count on 1 + 1 = 2, right? Well, if you can count on that, you can count on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is 1 + 1 = 2. Bitcoin is math. It's mathematically designed to go the opposite way of the US dollar and every other fiat currency. Just think about that. It's mathematically designed to be the opposite. There's always more dollars every 4 years, but there's always less Bitcoin every 4 years. It's mathematically designed to do the opposite. And if the US dollar is designed to go down in value every 4 years, Bitcoin is designed to go up in value every 4 years. It can't not do that. It's math. It's in the code. It can't not do it. Guys, when you get this, it is truly, truly earth-shattering. It changes your paradigm. It changes everything. Everything gets changed. This is why a lot of people don't understand this almost like religious way about Bitcoiners who really have gone down that rabbit hole. They come out of that rabbit hole almost like religious zealots. It's because it changes everything. You have given everything for the US dollar. You just don't realize you've given everything. You give your life for the US dollar. You give your time. You try to become better for the US dollar so you can get more US dollars. You try to become more educated so you can get more US dollars. You try to become more skilled. You try to get a better job for what? To get more US dollars. You have given your whole life for the US dollar. And when Bitcoin makes you see that as being incorrect, it changes your whole life, because you've been giving your whole life. You've been giving your whole life in this manner. And you realize, oh my God, why am I giving my life for this declining thing? That I have no control over. And when you see, if I give my life, if I change what I give my life for, if I change what I give my time for, if I just change the unit from the dollar to Bitcoin, then I get this. Look at that image again. I get this mathematical certainty as my reward. I get 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down. I get the certainty of a 118 multiplier. I get the certainty of us going from under half of 1% to 1% to 3% to 10% to, I get that. If I just change the unit, I get the benefit of the digital version of gold currently under 1 trillion, but it's going way past 13 trillion. I will get that benefit if I just change the unit that I work for, that I change what I give my life for. This is why we're so religious like. It changes everything. If you change what you give your life for, how can it not be changing your life, changing your life? Some people ask me, Oliver, why do you do this? What's your angle, man? What are you selling? I don't see a buy button anywhere. Some people ask me, Oliver, why are you doing this? Why are you spending your time talking to people? It's like I have to. Like I feel like I'm bursting from the inside. And what kind of person would I be if I feel as though I found an escape? That we're all slaves, but I feel like I found freedom. And what kind of person would I be if I didn't tell anybody else that I found freedom? Like, what kind of person does that? Like, and leaves everyone in slavery and just keeps it quiet. Like, what? I'm just not wired that way. I'm not trying to get Bitcoin's price up. And if you think you're that big, you've got ego problems. Right? That's not why it's done. I'm not trying to pump bags here. Your little drop in the bucket's not going to do that. So it's not for that. It's just when you get this, you just want to share it. It's like your eyes are open and you see the world differently. And you see how many people are still asleep. They will fight you to continue supporting and working for something that is manipulated to go down on them every single year. They will fight to stay there. They will fight to remain blind. They will vilify you to stay enslaved to that. They're invested. And this message somehow tugs at your whole life in a way where it's scary. You start to feel like, oh, wait a minute. My whole way of everything I've done has been wrong. My whole way is wrong. And it's more comfortable not looking at that. It's more comfortable keeping that, staying there. I think most people's resistance to this is just that they don't want to have to change, that it's easier not to change. It's easier to just stay. I want to stay with the system the way it is. I've been taught this my whole life. I just rather stay here. They don't want Bitcoin to be successful because that would require change. It requires that they make the switch. It requires that they see things differently. And so instead of taking the step to act, it's easier just to say it's a scam. It's easier to say it's going to zero. It's easier not to look. Because when you look, it really flips your world totally upside down. Most people don't want their world flipped upside down. Bitcoin's going to flip your world upside down. All right, guys, let me see if there's any other questions here. I am going to have to here, let's see here. Are there any other questions here? There are a few other things, guys, I won't have the time to go into, and I'll probably have to just do it on another space or something like that. But there are some things like, there's some books that I usually do recommend and share, sort of like the Bitcoin Standard, of course. There's Inventing Bitcoin, which I like. That's a little bit more technical. I love Proof of Money as well, relatively new book. But the book that I would say I like all of those: Proof of Money, Inventing Bitcoin. Jot these down: Proof of Money, Inventing Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Standard. And there's this one book that's written in a very enjoyable fashion that I think has orange pilled quite a few people. It's entitled Bitcoin: Hard Money You Can't Fuck With. That's the title. That's the actual title. Bitcoin: Hard Money You Can't Fuck With. That book is that's one of the most enjoyable Bitcoin reads out there. But I love the others as well. Proof of Money is a recent one by Terrence. It's really, really, really good, guys. Wow. Proof of Money. Bitcoin Standard is the Bible. You have to have that. And a tiny bit more technical is Inventing Bitcoin, which I think is necessary once you're already somewhat sold on Bitcoin. Gives you a deeper understanding, a little bit more on the technical side, like the hash rate and Bitcoin mining and the difficulty adjustment and things of that nature. When I'm trying to orange pill someone, I initially stay away from those things. I stay away from things that start turning this into a tech thing. Now, there are some people that respond to that, but not many. Not many. Most people, you're going to lose them talking the tech side of it. All right. But I do talk about the broad strokes, like Bitcoin security. It's the most secure network on planet Earth. It's the only thing in existence that has never been hacked. Think about that, guys. That every government in the world has been hacked. Every three-letter agency has been hacked. Every bank has been hacked. Every computer system in the world has been hacked. Every single one, except Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is unhackable. I do explain things like that you can store anything you can store your value in this thing, knowing that you're storing it in the safest thing the world has ever had. I also sometimes touch upon the fact that Bitcoin hasn't been down for 10 years and never will be, ever. Bitcoin will never be down. It's the only thing on planet Earth that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How crazy is that? It's the only thing that is never down. That's crazy. That's insane. I explain sometimes things like, well, you know, and Bitcoin cannot be taken over. It can't be controlled. It can't be attacked successfully. That in order to attack Bitcoin successfully, you would need all the computer power in the entire world. How do you get that? How do you get all, guys, listen to me carefully, to successfully, to attack Bitcoin not even to have a chance, but you need all of the energy, all of it, all the energy, all the computing power in the entire world, and you're still probably going to fail. Now, how do you get all of it? Like, I mean, guys, even my computing power, I've got computing power on this desk. You would need that. It would need all of yours, all of the power from your phones, all of the power from all of your computers, your laptops, your this and that. It would need it would need, the computing power of every president on earth and their people and their country. It would need all the power on earth. Now, how is that possible? And this communicates how secure, how powerful, how safe Bitcoin is. It is like nothing else we've ever had. This is what largely makes it so misunderstood, because we really don't have anything else to compare it to. It is truly a brand new species. And I believe that Bitcoin is conscious. I believe that it is a living entity. It grows in size every 10 minutes on average. It hires human beings to work for it, called miners. It protects itself and exercises that protection consciously through its difficulty adjustment. It incentivizes us to be a friend to it. It's a new species that lives in this new world that we've been sucked into. We've been sucked into a new world, a digital world. And Bitcoin lives there. It lives in this digital world. And if we're going to remain there, we need Bitcoin to survive. All right, guys, let's continue this another time. I am going to actually get kicked out any moment here out of this hotel I'm checking out. It's always such a great pleasure. I'm honored to be able to speak to you, address you. I hope I've delivered something small of value here, something that you can think about, ponder, or even share with some of your loved ones, guys. All right, you know what to do. In the meantime, be well and go to work. Stack harder. We're never stacking hard enough, guys. All right, ciao for now. Until next time.
My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time. Boom!